Assalamu alaikum. Hello, parents. Welcome to Cool Mom Super Dad, your companion on this roller coaster ride called parenthood. I'm your host, Jamila Samian, a parenting author and speaker. In this episode, I will introduce the 5 stages of marriage. I will also cover the subject of distancing, a common experience for many couples, and what you can do to pull you and your spouse together. I will also talk about how you can deal with distancing by having shared goals and applying the concept of emotional bank account, or EBA for short. My goal is to help you gain a better understanding of the potential highs and lows of marriage, which can assist you to navigate challenges better. Your marriage shapes your parenting experience. Children in happy, stable marriages feel more secure, perform better in school, and have less disciplinary issues. This is reason enough for us parents to pay attention to the state and quality of our marriage. Did you know that you do not have to be perfect to love and be loved perfectly? Not every woman is lucky to find a man who loves her deeply. Not every man is fortunate to find a woman who loves him back sincerely. You do not have to be perfect to love each other perfectly. Let's take a moment to reflect on the meaning of loving each other perfectly. How can a man and a woman who are imperfect love each other perfectly? By staying and growing together as their marriage goes through its natural stages. Just as the earth goes through seasons, a marriage goes through predictable phases which are completely normal and expected. The danger of not knowing about these stages is the same as not knowing what is in store for you, and therefore not knowing whether your marriage is growing or dying at any given moment. You may think all is well when the reality is quite different. Kindness is to seek a better understanding of the state your marriage is in. Decide you want an awesome marriage. Do not give up when the spark seems to have gone. Let us now look at the stages of marriage versus love intensity. A marriage goes through 5 different stages. Stage 1 is the honeymoon stage. Stage 2 is discovery. Stage 3 is adjustment. Stage 4 is acceptance. Stage 5 is everlasting love. We begin with stage 1, the honeymoon stage. Remember that awesome feeling of finally getting something you really wanted? Perhaps it's a new suit, a new home, a new car. The newness, the exhilaration, the excitement of gaining the object of your dreams often makes you blind to its faults and shortcomings. Same thing when you are newly married. Sheer joy sweeps your feet off the ground, so much so you fail to notice your partner's limitations. Your brain doesn't help much. At this stage, it secretes a natural hormone that lifts you high above the clouds, that you'll either dismiss your spouse's flaws or minimize them. The same goes with your spouse. Newness of each other makes you both experience a head over heels kind of love. The way he smiles, how he tilts his head when he talks, or the way she walks is all you see. The mere mention of his or her name is enough to make your heart beat a little faster. Just like in the movies, the idea that love is blind fits best here. Golden rule for honeymoon stage 1. You only notice the good, the great, and the bright spots in your spouse. Next, we have stage 2, discovery. As the feel-good chemicals in your brain wear off, you both begin to notice each other's flaws. You start to let your guard down and become more yourself. More days spent together bring more situations you have never faced together before. She discovers that he insists the car tires must be aligned when she parks, that he can't seem to find the butter in the fridge, no matter how many times she told him, that he loves to leave the toothpaste tube uncovered. What about him? He discovers how much she complains about the smell of the neighbor's pet at the porch each morning, that she insists the chair he sits on is pushed back under the table after every meal, that she spends almost half an hour in the bathroom after work every day to rejuvenate. Two people with two different backgrounds and contrasting experiences in life would respond differently to the same things, no matter how similar you seem in the beginning. Some couples misread this as incompatibility, that they have fallen out of love and therefore the marriage is a mistake. But the truth is that before you can work out ways to grow together, you cannot help but get to know each other better. One way to get to know each other better is by discovering in what ways you are similar, in what ways you are different, and then sort them out or accept them as they are. If you think the differences aren't your cup of tea, ask yourself, how would it feel to live with someone who is exactly like me? Not an appealing thought, I bet. Just because the two of you are different doesn't mean you are a mismatch for each other. Golden rule for discovery stage 2. Differences does not equal to incompatibility. Moving on, we have stage 3, adjustment. He is the only child. She grew up in a family of 10. In his family, you must visit your parents every Sunday. In her family, married children visit their parents only during specific family gatherings. In his family, they talk about everything out in the open. In her family, things are kept hushed up unless it's a matter of life and death that needs to be announced to the entire clan. In his family, the men never enter the kitchen. In her family, the men wash the dishes and clean up the kitchen together with the women. In his family, the entire clan go for holidays together a few times a year. In her family, this is unheard of, indeed, a breach of privacy. Let's face it, no matter how well suited you both seemed in the beginning, the two of you come from different backgrounds. Every family has its own microculture, different traditions, rules, and habits. It makes you wonder, did I marry the wrong person? It helps to remember that just as you are finding the new rules, habits, traditions a bit of a shock, so is your spouse. The more room you allow for adjustments, the more success and happiness you create in your marriage. Golden rule for adjustment stage 3. Your ability to adjust is key to the well-being of your marriage. Now we move on to stage 4, acceptance. I accept is not equal to I agree. It could mean I agree to disagree, or I choose to rise above the differences. I acknowledge that my spouse cannot change the habits, rules, and traditions he or she grew up with and is used to at the snap of a finger. Of course, your spouse does change over time, and so do you. But you won't know in what ways he or she will change. At this point, it's crucial for both of you to accept things as they are. The exception should be for issues that you find not only annoying, but worth talking about. You need to say it out in a way that makes your spouse listen and at the very least acknowledge. Still, if it involves the family, things aren't likely to change. It's a matter of going with the flow and tolerating what you don't like and enjoying the parts you like. Make the best of it. Golden rule for acceptance stage 4. Understanding and accepting the rules, habits, and traditions your spouse is accustomed to helps put your heart at ease. Now we move on to stage 5, everlasting love. Jokes related to marriage are aplenty. Marriage is a 3-ring circus: engagement ring, wedding ring, and suffering. So says a marriage joke side. There are 2 times a man doesn't understand a woman: before marriage and after marriage, claims another. These jokes make you wonder if marriage is an idea worth pursuing. Added to these are movies and songs that portray how easily men and women fall in and out of love. And who doesn't know of an aunt or uncle, or perhaps parents who have slipped into what is known as a marriage of convenience, a marriage without a single spark left, a union of 2 people that seems to be little more than an arrangement of housemates with chores to share and bills to pay. But is this what a marriage is meant to be? Must a marriage start with physical and emotional attraction, only to slip into a lackluster relationship over time? Is this what you should expect in a normal marriage? It would seem that the last thing a man and a woman in love should do is to get married. Yet, research tells us that romantic love with intensity, engagement, and sexual interest can last. We are not talking about couples who are newly married. We are talking about husbands and wives who remain very much in tune with each other, despite having been together for decades. If this is what you understand by a happy and successful marriage, you are on the right track. Golden rule for everlasting love, stage 5. Aim for a marriage where both physical attraction and emotional connection stay strong for you and your spouse. Let us now take a look at the subject of distancing, the cause of much pain to couples if nothing is done about it. Every couple will experience distancing at least several times in their marriage. Distancing is a period when either spouse or both man and wife feel they are drifting apart. Distancing may be due to the husband or wife getting more and more consumed with their job, or caring for a child with special needs, or caring for aging parents, or with raising small kids. Although distancing is normal, not doing anything about it will eventually weaken and take the shine off a marriage. Symptoms of distancing include feeling like you are living alone, although you and your spouse reside in the same house. You now do the things you used to do together, such as eating or praying, separately. You feel the spark in your marriage is gone. You no longer share daily updates. Or you often prefer the company of others or your own children over your spouse. A marriage can appear deceivingly successful where life runs like a perfect routine, and the husband and the wife seem to know exactly what to do all the time, yet the spark, the excitement of seeing each other is all but gone. A job can fill your need for achievement. Kids may help make you feel appreciated and needed while reciprocating the affection you shower upon them. But neither a job, nor kids, nor good friends can feel the need for having that special someone, a significant part of marriage. A challenging job, kids, and what have you are part of the deal in life, but it's so easy to over-focus on them and to create an imbalance to the point where predictable potholes start to develop in your marriage. These potholes bring about distancing between you and your spouse. distancing, if left unchecked, may lead to consequences you wouldn't want to think of, like your spouse having an affair or you falling for another person. Arguments and affairs do not pop up overnight. They are often the result of a neglected marriage, which leads to loneliness, which will make one or both spouses vulnerable to temptation. Golden rule for distancing. Watch out for predictable potholes in your marriage. Potholes create distance between you and your spouse. Over time, potholes may carve a deep, dark wedge between the two of you. Let me now introduce to you the power of shared visions. Did you know how a shared vision can really grow the strength of a marriage? A shared vision is a deal maker, a dream maker. Shared visions make good things happen in a marriage. Your shared visions can cover 5 main areas: faith, as in spirituality; fitness, as in health; family, finance, and fulfillment. I call it the 5 F's: faith, fitness, family, finance, fulfillment. What do you and your spouse wish to achieve together in each of these areas? How can you achieve them in ways that excite and challenge you both? Where are you now and where do you wish to be 10 years, 20 years down the road? How do you get there? Consider these shared goals. Faith. You wish to perform Hajj, the Muslim pilgrimage, together in 5 years' time. Fitness. You desire to exercise at least an hour once a week. Family. You want to build a better, warmer relationship with your 11-year-old daughter, and your spouse will help you to make it happen. Finance. You both want to save enough so that you can afford to travel to the Far East together. Fulfillment. Your current job is too stressful. You need to seek your spouse's input, how you can pursue your own professional interest in a way that can also benefit the family. From personal experience, I vividly recall my own parents who successfully stayed together throughout their marriage until they died. They had their differences, but they had a shared vision of making sure all their children had a good education. I could see how both my mother and my father actually set aside their differences to reach this goal. Imagine you and your spouse on the same page about where you want your marriage to go. You're not just moving along aimlessly. You've got a roadmap for the future that you both believe in. That's what we mean by a shared vision. A shared vision brings 5 clear benefits to your marriage. First benefit is synergy. Picture this. You and your spouse have different strengths. One of you is great with organizing stuff while the other is better at finances. Combine these strengths towards your shared vision, you'll be surprised what you can achieve. In other words, 1 + 1 is not equal to 2. It could be 4 or 5 or way beyond. This is what synergy is all about. Second benefit is focus. Being married and having kids can make you feel like you are being pulled in so many directions. But if you have a shared vision, it guides you through the humdrum and chaos. You know what's important to you both. You simply focus on what matters most. Third benefit, you thrive in tough times. Let's be real. Every marriage hits rough patches. But when you have got a shared vision, it's a reminder that you are in this together, no matter what life throws your way. Instead of letting challenges tear you apart, you rally together, knowing that your shared goals are worth fighting for. Fourth benefit, you transcend beyond personal differences. Okay, So you and your partner aren't clones of each other. You have got your quirks, your preferences, maybe even some disagreements. But with a shared vision, those differences don't have to be deal breakers. Instead, you focus on what brings you together, your shared dreams and goals. It's like looking past the small stuff to see the big picture of your marriage. Fifth benefit, your personal differences pale in comparison to the shared vision. Of course, you might argue from time to time. Maybe you have different ideas about how to spend your free time or how to handle certain situations. But when you look at the grand scheme of your marriage, your shared vision, those differences seem pretty minor, don't they? It's like realizing that what really matters is the journey you're on together, not the little bumps along the way. There you have it. A shared vision isn't just some abstract concept. It's the glue that holds your marriage together, making it stronger, more resilient, and more fulfilling for both you and your spouse. Let me now introduce you to the concept of the emotional bank account, or EBA for short. EBA is about doing consistent acts of kindness. A simple way to understand the impact of kindness on how you and your spouse feel towards each other is to think in terms of keeping money in the bank. In a bank, each time you withdraw money, your balance drops. Each time you deposit money, your balance grows. Likewise, in a marriage, each time you do something kind that is appreciated by your spouse, your account with him or her grows. Making them a favorite drink, giving a hug, touching in a loving way, listening, smiling, acknowledging a good deed they do. Simple acts of kindness like these are examples of making deposits in your emotional bank account with your spouse. They fulfill your spouse's need at some level. The more you do them, the bigger the balance you have. On the contrary, doing unkind things that hurt them, uttering rude words, not bothering to look up and listen when they have something truly important to share with you, leaving them in the dark on matters that concern both of you, making snide remarks about their family when you know your spouse holds them dear in his or her heart, putting them down in front of others. This is just like making a withdrawal from your emotional bank account. In fact, you are making a withdrawal from your emotional bank account. Each time you do any of these things, your balance drops. The metaphor of deposits and withdrawals from a bank is something practically anyone can visualize and understand easily. When it comes to deposits and withdrawals, how do you know where you stand? Here is the difference between the emotional bank account and a real physical bank account. Unlike a real bank account, you cannot see the balance in your emotional bank account. You cannot touch and count it like money. There are no figures to check and see where you currently stand. There are no records for you to track and trace how many deposits and withdrawals you have made over time. It is not tangible in that sense. What happens to couples who have slipped over the years from being truly loving and kind to each other to being uncaring to one another? One can safely assume that over time, they have made withdrawal after withdrawal to the point that their balance is negative. One may call this relationship bankrupt when there is simply nothing left in the balance. The best, safest trick to grow your balance over time is to be proactive. Every day, make it a point to ask yourself how you can perform simple acts of kindness for your spouse. It isn't wise to make one withdrawal after another by throwing sarcastic remarks, ignoring your spouse, sending cynical or subtle messages that you are more important than them or you are contributing more to the family than your spouse. If you are not happy about something that your spouse does, be specific, sort it out, and move on. Thinking that you are going to make it all up with one big deposit is not a smart idea. So often we get caught with life that deposit might never happen. Before you know it, the balance in your account is over and out. Look out for telltale signs that might indicate the size of your balance. If your spouse seems to be avoiding you or doesn't seem to be as warm as they used to be honest with yourself. Have you been taking them for granted? Is there something you can do to pep them up? A foot massage perhaps, or a simple love note? How about picking up clothes from the laundry? These are simple actions that send a powerful message. I care for you and I love you. Be aware how your thoughts drive your emotions. Your thoughts affect your emotions. Suppose you find yourself thinking, oh, sure, I could be nice, but it seems that I'm the one who is always making the extra effort to be nice. Should you listen to this thought? What if these thoughts become stronger by the day to the point that you simply loathe the idea of doing anything kind for your spouse? Thoughts are powerful. They drive your emotions, which in turn will drive your actions. What you need is a strategy to work your way out of this negative thinking pattern. Realize that you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by being nice. Being nice and kind makes you feel good about yourself, which is a reward in itself. Assuming your spouse has never heard of the emotional bank account, you will have the honor of beginning this legacy in your marriage, which you will then pass on to your children for generations to come. With a bigger balance, trust between you and your spouse develops. Don't you wish for a beautiful relationship where you both can be at ease with one another? In a marriage where trust is low or absent, tension is the order of the day. You have so little to negotiate or work your way around, or worse, there could be nothing left to start with. Having a bigger balance is just like when you are out and shopping and you have lots of money to spare and spend. Except that deposits and withdrawals are not the same between different people and between men and women. What is a deposit for you might be a withdrawal for your spouse. For instance, if your spouse isn't into hiking mountains, booking a trip to the Andes is not a good idea. If your spouse is not into furniture, filling every nook and cranny of your home with expensive sofa wouldn't count. Always go for timeless acts of kindness. These are random actions that will be cherished and appreciated no matter what your spouse's personal preferences are. Speaking well of him or her before others, avoiding sweeping statements such as, you never clean up after yourself, or you are always terrible at parking. Restraining yourself from nitpicking, not interrupting when he or she is talking. Never underestimate how well these will go down in his or her eyes. Some withdrawals are just plain big, breaking promises, yelling, taunting, and criticizing your spouse in front of others can hurt your marriage more than you can imagine. On the contrary, the ability to just listen for the sake of trying to understand, without imposing your own judgment, is an important act of kindness that will go down well with your spouse. Having said that, did you know that gratitude and love like each other? Feeling grateful is a powerful form of growing love. So often, our expectations rise over time, and the good things a person does is taken for granted. Familiarity may reduce a person's worth in your eyes. Rather than feeling grateful for the little acts of kindness he or she regularly does, you see the things they overlooked. Have you ever been helped by a good Samaritan? A stranger who happened to be there at the right place at the right time? Perhaps someone who gave up his seat for you in a packed train ride, or a person who offered to carry your basket full of shopping. We tend to appreciate these acts of kindness more when it comes from someone we don't know, even though your spouse might be doing similar acts of kindness every day. The fact that you are used to receiving them may reduce your sense of satisfaction and appreciation. Instead of feeling grateful, you may begin to take more notice of the things you expect them to do and missed. You fail to notice how gently your spouse pulled the covers over you when you were drifting off to sleep, dead tired from work. But you notice how he keeps leaving his smelly socks in his shoes. You fail to notice how many times she has sewn a loose button on your shirt. But you count how many times she forgot to switch off the lights in the storeroom. You fail to notice how many times your spouse stays late at night to pay the bills. But you notice the mug with ants crawling all over it on the table the next morning. If this happens to you, it's time for you to do a reality check on how much your expectations have changed over time. Make small but meaningful deposits often. Some deposits may seem small and inconsequential, but they do count and add up in the long run, such as the sincere smile. You can almost always top up your balance by sporting a sincere smile despite whatever feelings that might bother you. A smile is an antidote for many things. As someone said, a smile is a curve that sets things straight. A smile peps you up and helps you feel better, which in turn makes you treat your spouse and everyone else better. It puts them at ease when they see you. A smile makes you more attractive to your spouse. Take a moment to look at yourself in the mirror and compare how you look when you smile and when you frown. A smiling face is just so much more pleasant to look at anytime. When you smile, it helps your brain think of positive and happy things, and you are motivated to say and do kind things, which makes you simply nicer to be with. Smiling transforms your mood from negative to positive, which may reduce your stress level, boost your immune system, and therefore make you a healthier person. We tend to think that we only smile when we are happy, that happiness is the source of our smile. It works the other way too. When you smile, it helps to make you feel better. Even if you feel that your spouse isn't treating you right or things simply aren't working the way you want them, you can make yourself feel lighter, happier, just by smiling. In this episode, I have explained the 5 stages of marriage. I have also covered the subject of distancing, which can push you away from your spouse, something that every married couple experience. I have emphasized the power of having a shared vision, why having one can pull you and your spouse together despite your differences. As well, I've shown the spotlight on the EBA, or emotional bank account, a simple but powerful concept that you can apply straight away to also pull you and your spouse together. Of course, you can apply it not just to your marriage, but to enhance your relationship with your children, your own parents, siblings, and other members of your family. My goal is to help you gain a better understanding of the potential highs and lows of marriage, which in turn can assist you to navigate challenges better. As parents, how we carry ourselves, the kind of interactions we have with our spouse and children will color their lives today and in the future. We lead our children all the time through our words, actions, and decisions. Nobody is a perfect parent, but by being mindful of what we say and do, we can motivate, encourage, and inspire our children to be the best they can be. Parenting is full of ups and downs. I believe that with patience, persistence, love, and a never give up spirit, no challenge is insurmountable. Let us redefine what it means to be a cool mom or a super dad. This is Jamila Samian of Cool Mom Super Dad. Hit that subscribe button, buckle up, and let's create a better roadmap and experience for navigating parenthood. Cool Mom Super Dad, because together we'll do better.